I'm covered in baby vomit right now. Once upon a time, I was rethinking auditions. I had 4 coming up in the following 2 weeks, and I was just at that point. I really wanted the generous wealth associated with those jobs. But I also deeply wanted to stay in bed and watch my favorite show. I was just enthralled with it. It was taking me on an imaginative journey I was just loving. And I felt so alive watching it, ironically. So I had a little think. What if I, just for the next 2 weeks, ran a little experiment? What if I did nothing? I mean, what if I did as little as possible to get the job? Now, this needed some clear planning, because in order for me to do nothing, I had to be clear and honest about what nothing actually looked like for me. So I began combing through all the shoulds. What are the stories I've been telling myself? What are all the things that I think I should do in order to get the job? Let's start small. Do I need to learn lines? I remember the time during a callback when a director said to me, "Mike, no one ever got the role because they knew the lines." But I grew up on Shakespeare. I went to NIDA during the years of the great Kevin Jackson shouting passionately, "The writer is God." So to let go of the lines, that feels really scary for me. I feel naked without them. Solutions, possible solutions. I could maybe just hold the script and make up some dialogue in the room. As long as it's honest and connected, I'll be fine. And if worse comes to worse, I can write out my dialogue on a big piece of paper and kindly ask the reader to hold it in front of their head. It's only for 2 weeks. Remember, it's an experiment. Okay, next. Do I need to get dressed? Do I need to brush my hair? Why? Has anyone ever got the job because of the costume that they wore in the audition room? Maybe, but for the kinds of jobs that I actually want, what do I actually think is important? What do I actually think is worth working towards? What actually means something to me? And what are the performances that light me on fire? Do they have pretty clothes or gorgeous kept hair? No. Not for me. It's just, I prefer honest eyes. Someone pulling their heart out of their chest and holding it vulnerably out to the world, allowing us to see into their wounds through the glassy windows of their soul. That's what I love seeing more than anything. And that to me is worth working towards. That to me is worth staying up late for, missing meals for, forgetting to go to the bathroom for. Fuck, I forget how much I love acting sometimes. Okay, let's keep going. It's just a 2-week experiment, right? So I still feel strange about not looking clean and perfect. I grew up in South Africa. I went to a very old school. They only got rid of the cane when I was 6 years old. And walking down the school halls at the age of 7, if I didn't say, "Good morning, sir," or "Good morning, mevrouw," and take my hat off, one particular teacher would pull my ear and lift me up on my tippy toes as a kid. "Are you forgetting to do something, Mr. Sheasby?" Must be perfect, must be polite, must show respect to elders. Again, it's just a 2-week experiment, Mikey. Just put that to the side. Lean in. Yeah, it's uncomfortable. Take a breath, keep going. What do I actually need to do? I don't really need to learn lines. I don't really need to make myself look perfect. Okay, what else don't I need to do? Let's keep stripping it back. Acting. What is acting? Let's start again. As always, let's boil it down to the essential component of living, right? Which is death. That's a downer, but it provides meaning. The meaning of life for the majority of the Homo sapiens experience has been survival, right? Because it was so incredibly difficult For the last 200,000 years, a small scratch could mean bye-bye. How freaking amazing is the introduction of penicillin? And that wasn't even 100 years ago. Okay, concentrate. Next. What was an essential component that allowed humans to survive? Connection. Connection meant working together. Safety, security. Connection between humans allowed us to go from the bottom of the food chain to the top. So connection equals survival. Next, what has been an essential component in helping humans connect? Stories. Meaningful stories, sharing meaningful stories. Stories helped us connect, which helped us survive. So meaningful stories equals connection, which equals survival. How do we share meaningful stories? Just stick to basics. Write, sing, dance, paint, act. Great. This is where acting comes in. Acting can be a tool, a vessel, to help share meaningful stories. Acting equals stories, equals connection, equals survival. So what is essentially required from acting in order to be effective? Well, I do think it has to ignite the mirror neurons in order for it to be effective, in order for it to effectively be meaningful, right? To help the tribe actually be moved, feel something, laugh, cry, learn. But how does one ignite the tribe's mirror neurons? By igniting mine. It has to ignite something internally for me, so make it human. Human. I don't mean the species, I mean make it vulnerable, alive, present, real, dangerous, loving, messy, human. What else? Well, every scene starts and then ends. It's a moment in time, right? That's it, a moment. How about we just go for that for now, right? Go with that for now. Human, moment, right? Acting is about giving a human moment. So we give a human moment, therefore we share a meaningful story, therefore we help the tribe connect, therefore we help humans survive. Side note, if someone had told me that like 12 years ago, I would have thought that was bullshit. After spending a lot of time in ICU next to my brain damaged friend and speaking to the nurses who had incredibly difficult jobs and talking to them about what they wanted to watch when they went home to make themselves feel a little bit better about life so that they could keep going with their work. Yeah, I'm going to back that up. So, my version of doing nothing giving a human moment, right? I need one tiny thing to help make my work human. And I need one tiny thing to help make my work have a clear moment. I'll save sharing those two little things for another time, but oh man, Fury's coming up again. What about all the other technical work I should be doing? The things I learned from decades of training. It's just a 2-week experiment. That's it. It's just 2 weeks. But what if I ruin my reputation in those 2 weeks? What if I do something to get blacklisted from a casting room? Yeah, I was late for Kevin Jackson's class once at NIDA, one time in 3 years of practice, and he turned to me quietly and said, "It only took one iceberg to sink the Titanic." I miss drama school. I miss the family I had there. The trust that was built by being vulnerable and looking silly in front of my classmates. Just over and over again, every day, for 3 years straight, with the same group of artists. Take that lesson. Keep being willing to look silly. Again, it's just for 2 weeks. And if it's done with love, with an honest pursuit of curiosity and joy and craft, you will be held by the tribe. Be willing to do nothing. Be willing to step off that ledge. Be willing to follow your curiosity. Okay, so off I went. I'd watch my show with a big smile in bed until the wee hours of the morning. I'd fall asleep when my body told me it was time to rest, and wake up half an hour before my audition, jump out of bed in my white long johns, put my Ugg boots on, hop on my motorcycle, yes, and ride to wherever the audition was. Grab the sides on my way into the room. On one occasion, yes, I did actually quickly write the dialogue on a big piece of paper for the reader to hold, and I would try my best to give a human moment. Then I'd say thank you, and I'd scurry out, jump back on my motorbike, and go clamber back into bed to continue watching my show. The results. Out of the 4 auditions I had during those 2 weeks, I got 2. And I was the director's choice for the 3rd. The 4th I never heard anything back from. Okay, curious. What are my thoughts looking back on this experiment years later? I'm glad I did it, because it really reframed things for me. It made me see things in a different light. All the shoulds, all the work I felt I had a duty to do in order to simply give my work. Let's get to the point. The irony is, I put a hell of a lot of work into doing nothing. There was a lot of thought and a lot of planning and a lot of execution, but more so there was a lot of energy required to lean into the fear of doing things differently. Doing them in a way which made my body feel like it might get kicked out of the tribe. And I guess that's where the self-care and kindness comes in. The listening to the body, the following of curiosity, the asking of meaningful questions. What is actually important to me? Where is bliss for me? Where is beauty in my life? What makes my body feel energized and alive? What makes me feel enchantment? What is worth doing? What is worth doing less? And what is my version of doing nothing? What gives me just some kind of meaning for my short little time on this soil? Curious. I hope this helps. Don't ride a motorcycle in Ugg boots, please.